Thank you. That's what I was hoping for. Now watch the glass. Now that I have your attention. First of all, when I was asked to present here today, I thought, wow, that's great, thank you. But what do I have to share with this group? I'm the new kid on the block. I haven't been here for very long. And as I look out amongst my esteemed colleagues, we have these JCC giants, Mark Sokol and Alan Sadeloff and Joel Dinkin. Many of you have been doing this for so many years. What do I have to share with you about engagement? And then I realized there is something I know a little thing about. It's what I've been doing for the last 18 months at the Oshman Family JCC, breaking glass. Or as my chief marketing officer likes to say, being a bull in a china shop. How many of you are familiar with this motto? Move fast and break things. Any of you? A few of you? So you know this is famously coined by Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook. The idea is new ideas, new principles, new tools might not be perfect, but creation speed is key. And so even if you make a few missteps along the way, even if you break a little bit of glass, it's important to move fast and try new things. So I came into the JCC world, and I said, how am I going to do this in a Jewish way? Because breaking glass is a Jewish concept. There's the happiness and sadness at a Jewish wedding, or in this case, some guy stepping on a burrito. There's the idea of breaking idols, smashing old ways of thinking, like Abraham and his father. There's the idea of tzimtzum, the juxtaposition of destruction and creation. There's so many things that breaking glass can be relevant for us. And so I wanted to come in and talk to you about what I've been doing at the JCC. I want to put the following idea in your head. For engagement to work with this next generation in particular, we have to do things differently. The old way is not going to work because we're just going to get the same old results. All right, so one last metaphor as we move on, because I believe we're in this moment, this crisis moment, this crucial moment right now. So in an emergency situation, what are you supposed to do? Break some glass. All right, let me tell you a quick story. Last year we did something slightly revolutionary at our JCC, at our preschool. We put iPads in the preschool classrooms. Now, we have the same sort of helicopter parents as all of you, the neurotic Jewish mothers and fathers who are reading the parenting handbooks that say no screen time for any kids younger than 2 years old, and after that, very limited screen time. So what do? We go and put screens in the preschool classrooms for 4-year-olds, for 3-year-olds, and even for the 2-year-old kids. So we have a kid who loves jelly beans. And he comes to his teacher last year and he says, I want to know how jelly beans are made. And she says, well, how do you propose we do that? And he says, YouTube. How else? Silicon Valley, after all. So they take out the iPad, they go onto YouTube, and they find this great video of how jelly beans are made. And the kid is ecstatic. He goes home, he tells his family, he comes back the next day, the teacher says, so, what are we going to learn about today? And he says, I want to know how babies are made. Now you're laughing because the idea of teaching sex ed to toddlers is a little weird, but I find that they're very mature with the subject matter. When it comes to, no, I'm just kidding. We're on the record. We are not teaching. We're not teaching sex ed to toddlers. But what we found with this iPad is that we were able to reach a kid in a different way. We broke some glass along the way, but we were able to reach them in a way that maybe spoke to them differently. So I'm going to give you the 4 elements of breaking glass at the Oshman Family JCC. Number 1, shut up and listen. We like to talk. We think we have all the answers. We want to put out there programs, ideas that we think we know best. But we need to start by listening. So I have a friend who knows the new chief marketing officer at Starbucks. And when the new CMO started at Starbucks, Howard Schultz said, I'm going to put you in a different Starbucks every single day for the first 2 weeks on the job. I want you to go and be the barista. And I thought it was a brilliant idea. So my first 3 months on the job, I said, I'm going to be the barista. And I spent time at the customer service desk, and I spent time in the fitness center, the preschool, the camp, with the housekeeping staff, and I just listened. I asked them questions, and I listened. And I was amazed at what I heard. And I'd encourage you to do the same thing. Go to anybody on your staff, go to a personal trainer, go to someone who runs the yoga class, go to one of your housekeeping staff, and ask them the question, what do you think our mission here is at the JCC? And see if they can explain it the way that you can. We have to start by stepping back and listening. Step number 2, you got to kill the sacred cows. People have been saying this, but we really have to do it. What we did at our JCC is we threw away our old traditional mission statement, and we created a brand manifesto, a new, bold statement for what we wanted to be in the 21st century, how we're going to create Judaism 3.0. And it ruffled some feathers. It broke some glass. People said, whoa, you can't do this. We put up posters in our fitness center, and they said, there's a lot of non-Jews using this facility. We took out a full-page ad in the local paper. We put it on the front page of our annual report. And it got people talking. It got people thinking in a different way. And sometimes, the sacred cows are the staff themselves. And when I came in, we had to do some rethink. And in my first year on the job, there were a lot of people that ended up not being willing to or able to get along with the new program. And this was very hard. These were people that were beloved on the staff, beloved amongst their colleagues, beloved in the community, and we were very sensitive about how we did it, but a lot of them ended up leaving, and now we have a tremendous leadership team. And I'm thrilled about what we have because we're able to now take on these challenges and do what we've always wanted to do. So we need to do a rethink sometimes about what the sacred cows are, and we need to be willing to kill them. Element number 3, we need to embrace failure. The New York Times calls this the failure age. There was a great article just a couple months ago in the New York Times where they talked about in an age of constant invention, it naturally begets one of constant failure. And what that means is we just have to take risks. We have to be willing to fall flat on our faces. We have to recognize that not everything we do is going to work, but we have to try it anyway. So when I came into this phenomenal, beautiful, ultra-modern new JCC, it's gorgeous. It's super contemporary. And hats off to Alan and the team who made it happen. But there's not a lot of grass on the campus. The bottom line is they didn't have the money to build the field that was always part of the plan. It's a little bit cold, a little bit concrete. I came in and I said, look, let's lay out a big fake grass carpet. And people said, what, are you crazy? Fake grass carpet? I said, come on, you got to take the risk. We got to try it. It might warm up the place. So we put out this fake grass carpet, and now it's turned this space into one natural impromptu picnics. Kids rolling around doing somersaults. It's got kids just playing in this area, and it's totally warmed it up. And it was a risk. This was a risk worth taking. It worked, but not everything that we've done has worked. There are several new engagement activities that haven't worked, frankly, but we're trying them. One of the things we wanted to do is we wanted to reclaim Shabbat. Shabbat's a big deal in our community. Not a lot of people love going to synagogue. I don't know if it's similar in your communities or not. But we said, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? So we took Fridays and we said, let's create a whole Fridays at the J concept. It starts with Friday mornings, free bagels and coffee. And then at noon, we bring in food trucks onto the campus. And by the afternoon, we have a farmer's market. Fresh fruits and vegetables out, and arugula and challah. And then by late Friday afternoon, the kids are out from the after-school care program, and they're singing Shabbat songs. People love this. They started coming, but then the farmer's market doesn't really work in the cold months, so we had to throw it out. We had to do a rethink, and we're going to try to bring it back in the spring. One of the other things that we're doing for engagement that I think is very cutting edge and breaking the little glass is we're getting into the fiscal sponsorship business. Raise your hand if you're familiar with fiscal sponsorship. Okay, a couple of you. Fiscal sponsorship is basically where you take an organization that's not yet mature enough to be its own 501c3, and you become like its parent company. But in this future age, where I think JCCs need to be incubators of new expressions of Jewish identity, that's what we need to be doing. We have to be willing to parent company these new little startups. And it doesn't mean making them your own department. It means giving them more autonomy, letting them have their own independence, but still letting your board have the fiduciary responsibility. And so we're starting to get into this fiscal sponsorship business because if we can midwife the next Moishe House, the next Urban Adamah, the next Wilderness Torah, that will be the future of Jewish engagement. Step 4, the last step in breaking glass, don't take yes for an answer. Counterintuitive, I know, but there was a mega donor in the community that I went to last year, and I asked them to do more, and they said they would make a $1 million gift. Not bad for my first year on the job, but I had to say no. Because if they were going to give $1 million, they were going to set the bar too low. And I said, you need to give somewhere between $5 and $10 million so other people can key themselves off that. I just had to say no to a $1 million gift, but she ultimately came back and made a $5 million gift. It doesn't always work. I could have pissed her off. She could have walked away, but I had to take the risk. The other thing that we're doing this year, we're spending a lot of money on our big annual gala. We're bringing in Colby Calais. And people said, whoa, you can't do that. You can't spend that much money. That's not the future of fundraising. It's not an events. They said, how are you going to raise this money? I said, well, we're going to change the sponsorship level. No longer is it $10K to buy a table. It's $25K. And of course, that made people go, whoa, this is a community organization. You're a Jewish community center. People are not going to be able to afford to come to this sort of thing. And you know what? This is what's going to have to happen. Some people are going to opt in. Some people are going to opt out. But the event hasn't even happened yet, and we've already raised more than we did last year, and we've covered the cost of the event. So sometimes you have to just think big. You have to ask big. We need to be thinking of audacious generosity in this era of audacious thinking. That's what it's going to take for us to go forward and think engagement in this next generation. Disruptive innovation. Break some glass. Kill some sacred cows. Start off by listening. Not always easy, but it's fun, and I hope you'll join me. Break some glass. It's the Jewish thing to do.